What if I told you that the secret to building a billion-dollar company wasn't some stroke of genius, but actually 6 months of just constant, soul-crushing failure? Well, that is the wild story of PostHog.
And their story really gets at a question that every founder obsesses over. How in the world do you turn that kind of failure into a tech unicorn? Because, that is exactly what they did. PostHog just recently hit a staggering $1.4 billion valuation, which is all the proof you need that their totally unconventional path actually worked. And today, they have a massive user base. We're talking around 300,000 customers, a mix of both free and paying users. All of this was just supercharged by a recent $75 million funding round. But, and this is a big but, their journey to get here was anything but easy. So let's rewind and go back to the beginning.
Their story kicks off with this brutal 6-month grind just to find any idea that would work. It's a period the founders now call pivot hell.
And they were deep in it. Imagine this, burning through a completely new idea every 5 to 6 weeks for 6 straight months. They were just desperately throwing things at the wall, hoping something, anything would stick.
So their very first swing at the bat was this really complex tool for managing sales territories. It was an idea born from co-founder James Hawkins' past life as a VP of sales. Seemed logical, right?
And he did exactly what you're supposed to do. He used his network. He got 15 different sales leaders from really promising tech companies all lined up, and they all said, yeah, we're interested. We'll try the product. But here is the brutal, cold, hard reality of product market fit. Of those 15 people who said they were interested, 14 of them didn't even click the sign-up link. The 15th person clicked it, but never even created an account. That is complete and total rejection. It was a harsh lesson that their product was, at best, a nice-to-have.
But here's the crazy part. All of that failure, all of that constant pivoting, it led them straight to their breakthrough. The idea was literally forged in the fires of pivot hell itself.
And that idea was open source product analytics. See, every single time they pivoted, they had to set up their analytics all over again from scratch, and they were just sick of it. So they built a tool for themselves, a self-hosted tool specifically for engineers. The kind of people who, unlike those sales leaders, tend to say what they mean and actually do what they say. So they launched it on Hacker News just 4 weeks before their Y Combinator demo day, and it just exploded. At the time, it became the most upvoted dev tool of the entire year. And just like that, their whole world flipped. They went from desperately pushing their product on people to having a flood of users pulling it from them. But of course, just as they find their winning idea, the world basically falls apart. The high from their launch crashed head-on into the brutal reality of trying to raise money during a global crisis. And the contrast between their first fundraise and their most recent one is, well, it's just wild. For their seed round in March 2020, right as the pandemic was hitting, they met with 160 different firms, scraping together checks as small as $5,000. For their latest round, they met with one firm, got a preemptive offer, and raised $75 million. The difference is just incredible.
And that painful first experience taught them this crucial lesson. Stop trying to be correct and start trying to be remarkable. They realized that investors responded way better to a strong, opinionated plan, not some generic pitch designed to please everybody. So they got punchier, and it worked.
This whole philosophy of being different just bled into everything they did next, especially their really unique and, let's be honest, kind of weird approach to marketing.
This pretty much sums up their wild strategy. They build in public, sharing everything from their revenue numbers to their failures. They practice what they call radical transparency. They publish their entire company handbook online for anyone to read. They humanize the team with bios that include details about their pet cats. And they just lean into humor and weirdness to make sure they're actually remarkable. And to make sure their marketing is actually, good, they have this internal culture of ruthless feedback. They call it troll by fire. Ideas are thrown into the fire, and colleagues will bluntly tell you if your joke just isn't funny. The whole goal is to avoid that cringy, corporate, try-hard vibe at all costs. Think about this. Their bar for getting attention isn't just being better than other software companies. No, it's to be as engaging as mainstream entertainment, like the music you listen to on the radio or the videos on your phone. It is a much, much higher standard to aim for. And with all that recent funding and a huge bet on AI, PostHog is now chasing an even more ambitious vision for the future. They call it product autonomy. And the goal here is absolutely wild. They want to build an AI that doesn't just find problems in your product. It analyzes all your user data, automatically writes the code to fix the issues, and then implements the solution, all while your developers are literally asleep. It is a huge, ambitious bet on the future.
And this really brings us to the final takeaway from this whole story. Their entire journey, from pivot hell to their weird marketing and their sci-fi future, it all boils down to this one simple question. Are you trying to be correct, or are you trying to be remarkable?